Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on the place you are around the world. Welcome to a new Coffee with R, sponsored by Foundation Calanit. And in Spanish will be Bienvenidos a un café con R con el auspicio de Fundación Calanit. Well, you know, guys, I came to Nigeria to meet with Emmanuel Itua. He's a project lead manager of Oghowa Business Incubator in the city of Benin. You know, that is the capital and the largest city of the Edo State in southern Nigeria. So welcome to the show, Emmanuel, and thank you very much for being here. And you can see Emmanuel is going from one place to another one, and he's in a cab going to his office. So welcome to the show. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Roberto. It was nice to see you when you came over, and I'm happy you got to interact with everyone. I'm really excited to share what we're doing here.
So, I mean, it's amazing because we will talk about a business incubator in Nigeria. And when you talk to the people and say, well, what are you doing in Nigeria? Why did you fly to Nigeria? Yeah, because, this is such a nice thing as your business incubator, and which I would like to touch base. And please let me know about your main objectives and the core program of your incubator.
All right. So the name of our incubator, as I told you, was Oghowa Accelerator. So part of what we're trying to do is that we're trying to build an accelerator that develops the next innovators out of not just Nigeria, but also Africa. And what we're trying to, sorry, I hope you're not bothered by the background noise. I'm moving with a colleague of mine.
No problem. I mean, it's action.
So, what we're trying to achieve is that we're trying to build the next generation of innovators out of Africa as the objective. And we are trying to do this by working with young people in the region, right? Because in Nigeria and also Africa, what we're trying to achieve is that we have a lot of young people here, right? They are doing a lot of great things. They're doing marvelous things. But one thing we identified, especially in Benin City or in the southern part of Nigeria, is that they don't have the knowledge, neither do they have the resources to be able to pursue their innovative ideas, right? So me and my friend, Osabiayo Satuanwe, we decided that rather than having to wait for someone to solve our problems for us, why don't we solve this problem? And it then gave birth to the program. And the entire aim of the accelerator, like I said, is to train individuals in the region. And we do this by offering programs, right? There is a program we're currently running, which is called the Founder-Based Program. It's a 4-month program that takes people who have just conceptive ideas that are in the conception stage, and takes them to build an MVP that can be tested in the market all in just 4 months, right? And out of this, we've been able to train successfully 3 startups that came out from our program. They are registered. They've even gotten 2 of those 3 have gotten grants right now and are, beginning to push their MVP into the market, all with the help of our support and guidance. And we want to expand this operation, and we also want to make it possible for more youth in the region to build solutions and also, pursue innovative ideas that will eventually change the whole shape of Nigeria and Africa as a whole.
Okay. And how do you support businesses to build and scale sustainable model and empower the communities? Because that's the trick over there.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Yeah. How do you support businesses to build and scale sustainable models and empower the Nigerian communities?
Okay. So one way we do it is when we started this 3 years ago, one thing we agreed within ourselves is that we do not have the money to give the startups, right? We know that in entrepreneurship, one of the needs to build a business is we need money, right? But we established the fact that because we're young and it will be kind of difficult for organizations to even, validate that we can do this to give us that money. So we then began to ask ourselves, what strengths do we have, right? What can we give that can empower the startup? So we found out that what we can do is that we can collaborate, we can work with organizations, we can ask for, rather than ask for money, we can ask for partnerships. And myself and my colleagues, we were consultants when we were doing our youth service. Our youth service is sort of like a mandatory 1 year service in paramilitary activities. So during our youth service, we worked with a consulting firm that called Lead Resources that was already doing something like this, and we were very interested. So what we then did is that rather than say we're going to offer money, if you have an idea, what we're going to do instead is that we're going to give you the information you need that curate an action-based learning curriculum. That was one. We dedicated 2 months to be able to design an action-based learning curriculum, which will take you from the conception phase to building an MVP, not a working MVP, which you can test in just 4 months, right? And in the part where we know we didn't have our strengths at, which is in developing this MVP, maybe finding talents that are necessary for them, providing mentorship, and also providing extra materials and sort of it's more tailored knowledge. What we then decided to do is that we work with organizations for that. We work with organizations like maybe technical expertise. We also went out to work with individuals within the ecosystem who are familiar with what we were trying to build and who have also built businesses. Might not be unicorns, might have not have made $1 million, but at least they are surviving. They are surviving and they know what it means to be an entrepreneur. So how this then trickles down to the community is that I was a student in Uniben, right, University of Benin. Graduating, a lot of my folks will say, "Oh, I want to go to Lagos. I want to go to Abuja. I'm going to Enugu." Those are like the where heavy economic activities happen in Nigeria. It's a major challenge because it means there is no talent going on, right? In Benin, there is no retaining of talent. There was no strategy to retain this talent. So imagine where 50,000 people come into a state to study and you can't even retain 10% of that 50,000. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to turn a state which people see as a civil society state and make it one of more of a state with economic activity, right? So we decided that, these youth that are going through the school, if you have an idea, let's take you through a process. Let's take you through a process, build something. We're going to connect you with people who have built something here. You don't need to bother about the money. Let's just go through the knowledge. Let's work on building an idea that you may have. And if you're interested in pursuing it, we can work together on how we can raise the money. And also, sorry, I'm trying to remember some stuff I said. How we're going to raise the money. Yeah, how we're going to raise the money. And if
is it difficult to raise the money? Is it difficult to raise the money? Huh?
Yes, it is very difficult. Yes.
Why?
It is
because of the government, because of the people around.
Yeah, not really the government, right? It's because I think one of it, not the major, is because of age and also the economic the economic situation in the country right now.
Okay. Yeah. It's not easy there.
Yes, it really is not easy. Sorry, I'm going upstairs to the office. Just give me a
No,
minute.
it's okay. I mean, this is what I like of our shows. I mean, this is live. It's, you are moving, you're going to your office, and you will be there. Yeah, but by the time you are going up to your office, Benin City is very important, and there it was a startup weekend in Benin City. So we're entrepreneurs and startups. We're showing creativity. Can you tell us a little bit about what is all this about this startup weekend Benin City? Because I saw there, I was reading, and it is very nice.
Yeah. So think about Edo State like this, right? If Lagos is where if Lagos is going to be compared with the likes of San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and the likes of what's happening in other high economic states, Edo State should be compared with Texas in the US, right?
No.
So where there is little startup activity, but it's beginning to come up, right? 2 years ago when we started, there were very little startup activity going on, and the government, in its mind, was trying to ensure that um, individuals are aware of this opportunity, right? So for us, it was challenging to find a community for startups. There's community for tech, right? If you want to go into technology, there's a community, but there is no specific community for startups. And my colleagues and I, we saw this and we said, no, this isn't right. It's not necessary that a startup has to be technology focused, because there are a lot of startups that offer value and technology is just a driving factor. It's not really the main thing they're selling. So what then happened was we said, oh, if we're going to build a community, first things first, people must understand what a startup is. People in the region must understand what a startup is. Because there was that knowledge gap, that was a problem, right? Not everybody knew what a startup was. And found one way we found to be able to solve that knowledge gap problem was when somebody who is a mentor of mine, his name is Ong Pokotet, he's from Myanmar, he suggested that, to break that knowledge gap, why don't we work with Techstars and do some sort of like a pre-accelerator so that people kind of understand what's going on, what you're trying to do. It gives a glimpse before they then try to merge it with what you're doing with your accelerator. It was a very awesome idea at the time.
And I think, Emmanuel, I think it's a good idea, because if everyone is going to be and go through technology, I mean, there are many opportunities like in textile, let's say in food, and in apparel, and different economic aspects. So you can do many things also in Nigeria. You need to tell
Yes,
your people that there are a lot of opportunities in many areas, and you can push through that. Is that right?
yes, yes. Land and doing that event, it's really opened eyes to a lot of people. It was just like I opened eyes. A lot of people were asking, "Wow, you mean there's something like this going on in the world?" I was even telling them that, "Oh, you guys are like few years late. If you were back when it was in maybe 20 during the COVID period, or you were maybe 5 years before the COVID, you could have maybe Edo State or Benin City would have been on the map right now as one of the most vibrant startup ecosystem. But the best time to plant a tree is now, they do say. So what this brought for us is doing the startup weekend. It means we were going to dedicate a weekend where we are going to be hosting an action hackathon. We decided that it was going to be industry agnostic, so that it doesn't we didn't want to be too detailed. We just wanted people to know that there is something like this going on and you can be a part of it, no matter what idea you have, right? The first one was, very small numbers, but very people who were curious, who were dedicated and wanted to learn, right? And that was where we got our first two startups, which were um, the Orduna Logistics and Meatloaf, right? So Orduna
Okay.
Logistics is a truck hailing company, and Meatloaf is a meat distribution company, right? Then we hosted the second one, and that was where we got Sayona, Sayona Medicare, which is a geriatric care startup. They provide geriatric care to individuals in need of it. So all those experience and all those experience and people I got to meet made me realize that there is a lot more opportunity for young people to be the best they can be and to show the world that they can be the best they can be if given the opportunity. And now we have three successful startups that even two, like I said, took a grant from CC Hub. So CC Hub is one of the leading startup development institutions in Nigeria. So they got grants from them. And that now we want to now say, oh, let's showcase this on a larger stage. And that's what Startup Week is, a 5 day event where we bring in everyone, every stakeholder in the ecosystem, put them in a room, put them in a room and, showcase ourselves, showcase the innovators who are building in the region, showcase the people who are interested in working with the innovators, and let people know or let the on a larger scale, let people know that, oh, there's something going on here in Edo State. And as you came over to see, we are working very hard to make sure that's possible.
Good, good. And what, as Emmanuel, what do you think is your state opportunity? Where do you think that you need to push your people in order to see this will be a good business in my state in the future?
Okay. In the future, right? One thing for Edo State has been its arts and culture, right? It's a very cultural, it's a cultural rich state with a lot of heritage, with a lot of history, right? And there was a study that our language, we are going, if we are not careful, probably by the next two generations, we are going to lose more of our languages in the region. So I will push people more to preservation of our language and art and culture. And now with artificial intelligence being on the rise, there is a lot of breakthrough. There is even an organization called Digital Benin that is trying to, upload all languages that we have presently in Edo State on a live database, so that if anything happens, we can be there for study purposes, for learning purposes. And if I'm going to if I'm going to be very frank, I will also want people to, go into energy, because Nigeria, yes, energy. Nigeria is a very large state, right? And we are expected to grow more in the next 5 years, even in the whole of Africa. So it means if you're going to have more people, you need energy to feed those people. If there is no energy, there will be no economic activity, right? And once that is solved, a lot of people can begin to be imaginative of what they can do because they have that energy. So that is what I'll push people to go into: energy and preservation of culture.
Okay, good. We have spent a lot of time here. The time has flown, and it has been very nice talking to you. But I have a last question. You're going to invite me for my dinner today, and what would you recommend? So, and which place we shall go today for our dinner?
Okay, so there is a place I will recommend to you, right? Um, you know, I will not recommend an eatery to you. If you want to get the best of African delicacy, I will recommend you visit one of our local cuisines where they serve white food and what's the name for this? Sorry, give me a minute. Oh, what's our stuff? That was swallow. No, the other one, that yellow. Yes, starch, white soup and starch. So I will recommend you a cuisine. I'll send to you where you can get the best white soup and starch in the region.
So that's your recommendation. Well, thank you very much, Emmanuel. It was very nice to have you in the show. And to my friends, today I am in Nigeria. I will be in another place in the world. And thank you again. Have a good evening and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.